to Liberia, where the drums still play my song. Take me back to my homeland. It's the place where I belong.
LIB Future TV, giving voice to progressive Liberians, speaking about politics, entertainment, and local news.
Good evening, fellow Liberians. Welcome to the National Discourse, a platform that is regularly aired every Tuesdays and Wednesdays on Kia Radio 95.9 FM. I'm your humble host, Isaac S. George, and I'm glad to be in your company this evening, taking you from this time up onto 9 o'clock tonight. We will be having a conversation, fascinatingly, so to speak, regarding several other major national issues that are lingering within our public space, as I usually say. So before that, as we consistently do on this platform, we engage Lovetta Davis to read for us our news, and after which we dive deep into our major national talking points. But before that, let us get Lovetta Davis on the line, as I said, to read for us our news before we proceed towards our today's conversation. Thank you so very much for joining us, Lovetta Davis. Good evening.
Good evening, Isaac. Good evening to our listeners in Radio Land and those of you watching via our Facebook page, LIB Future TV. Welcome to today's trending news update with me, Lovetta Davis. Cummings proposes special anti-corruption court to fast-track corruption cases. Political leader of the Alternative National Congress ANC, Alexander Cummings, is calling for the establishment of a special anti-corruption court and stronger enforcement mechanisms to hold public officials accused of corruption accountable. Cummings says Liberia's fight against corruption continues to face major challenges, including limited trials and a low rate of conviction. He argues that although several officials have been arrested and charged under the Unity Party-led government, many cases take too long to reach conclusion. According to Cummings, a specialized anti-corruption court could help fast-track corruption-related cases and ensure that those accused are brought before the law without unnecessary delays. He also emphasized the need to tackle government waste and strengthen enforcement as part of broader efforts to improve public sector performance. Cummings maintains that reducing corruption and ending wasteful government spending will help Liberia build a more efficient and effective government, one that delivers better services and works for the benefit of all Liberians. The ANC political leaders' proposal comes amid continued public concerns over accountability, corruption, and the pace at which high-profile cases move through Liberia's justice system. Unity Party partisan accuses government of using drug fight to target George Weah. A disenchanted partisan Unity Party, Joseph Brown Jr., has sharply criticized the Joseph Walker administration over its handling of Liberia's ongoing drug investigation, accusing the government of turning the fight against narcotics into a political campaign against former President George Weah. Writing from Australia, Brown argued that Liberians elected the government to improve their living conditions rather than focus on bringing down its political opponents. We elected you to govern and improve the lives of Liberians, not to make bringing George Weah down an agenda, Brown wrote. His comments followed what he described as revelations contained in Martin Collins' latest report concerning former Vice President Joel Howard Taylor and her alleged links to individuals accused of involvement in drug trafficking. Brown claimed that Taylor may have been manipulated by individuals she believed were legitimate business people while seeking investment opportunities capable of creating jobs in Liberia. He questioned why, if authorities were aware of the alleged circumstances surrounding Taylor's dealings, the former vice president was being held responsible while some alleged drug dealers were reportedly allowed to escape and others were allegedly turned into witnesses against her. If this is not wickedness, then let someone tell me what it is, Brown stated. He further questioned whether the government's narcotics campaign was genuinely focused on dismantling drug networks or whether it had become a means of undermining former President Weah and his political ambitions ahead of the 2029 elections. According to Brown, targeting individuals who served in the Weah administration could ultimately damage Liberia's democratic process and establish a dangerous precedent for future governments. Brown, however, stressed that his criticism should not be interpreted as support for Weah's return to the presidency. I myself do not support Weah to be president, but this is not the way to stop him, he said. Abandoned $90 million United States bridge project leaves Riverside's communities stranded. Residents of Dothian district are struggling to access farms, schools, markets, and health facilities following the abandonment of a $90,000 United States bridge project over the Joe River. The project was intended to replace an old wooden bridge with a stronger concrete structure. More than 2 years after the old bridge was removed, construction has yet to begin. Despite half of the contract funds reportedly being paid to Quintu Construction Company, residents are now forced to cross the river using two slippery logs, a situation that becomes increasingly dangerous during the season. Cecilia Garceda, whose parents live across the river, said the condition has made it difficult for her to visit them. It's hard for them to come in town, she said in Liberian English. The abandoned project has also affected school children, farmers, and traders. Children face difficulties traveling to school, while farmers struggle with farms and transport produce markets. University of Liberia students chase lawmakers off campus over poor conditions. A group of students from the University of Liberia reportedly booed and chased Sano County Representative Thomas Quia from the university's campus on Tuesday and growing concerns over deteriorating learning conditions at the institution. According to the students, the University of Liberia's campuses are in a state of despair with poor sanitation, damaged facilities, and worsening conditions for students and faculty. The students reportedly became upset after Representative Quia entering the campus while wearing what they described as substantial gold jewelry. They questioned the priorities of lawmakers, alleging that members of the national legislature have failed to ensure that the university receives the necessary support for renovation and improvement of its learning facilities. The students also alleged that Representative Kuya may be receiving compensation from both the national legislature and the University of Liberia, though the claim has not been independently verified. The incident comes as students continue to call for improvements to the university's infrastructure and learning environment. Representative Kuya was subsequently chased from the university premises by the protesting students. No immediate response from Representative Kuya was available regarding the students' allegation or the incident. And Koluba questions Joel Howard Taylor indictment, demands answers on cocaine shipment. Monserrato County District Number 10 Representative Yeke Koluba has questioned the government's decision to indict former Vice President Joel Howard Taylor, arguing that the case could distract public attention from what he described as the country's real issues surrounding the alleged cocaine shipment. In a statement, Koluba said, while the government has detained and charged Taylor, authorities should also explain who brought the drugs into Liberia and how the shipment allegedly moved from the House Seas to the Roberts International Airport, RIA Highway. We agree that you all have jailed Joel, so we brought the 317 million drugs. Who transported it from Hasi to RIA Highway, Koluba asks. The lawmaker further expressed skepticism about the allegation against the former vice president, saying, I can bet with anything Joel isn't guilty of what you charge her with. Koluba also made serious allegations against President Joseph Boakai, claiming that the president and his children know about and are involved in the alleged drug trafficking operation. He did not provide evidence to support the claim. A chief drug cartel, Joseph Boakai, knows exactly what he and his children are involved with, Koluba alleged. He called on Liberians to focus on identifying those responsible for the alleged shipment rather than allowing the indictment of Taylor to divert public attention. You all let's discuss the real issues and stop the distraction, he said, concluding with the phrase, watch the process and see. That was the latest new update on LIB Future TV. My name is Lovetta Davis. Good evening.
We like to say, Lovetta Davis, thank you so very kindly for reading our major headlines this evening. We hope to having you next week at this same time to again read for us our major news. Thank you, Lovetta, for joining us.
Okay, I say thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So, fellow Liberians, that was the reading of our major, headlines across our country, the news in depth as well. That is a example. It is an example of the picture Liberia currently presents to the globe in its entirety, which is why we usually have, Lovetta reading for us the major happenings across our country. But today's conversation, as I usually say, promises to be particularly a fascinating and interesting one, where we will make mention of several, things that we believe should be mentioned as we engage national government on those matters. And, we solicit your own candid, impartial position or perspective on all of those major happenings across our country. But one of the things I want for us, or the first and foremost significant matter that I want for us to discuss here this evening, for us to have a conversation about this evening, is the issue of us having an anti-corruption court. an anti-corruption court. The anti-corruption court is a very significant institution that when it is organized, when it is constructed, when it is formally and officially given the opportunity to adjudicate corruption cases, all of the corruption cases at the desk of the Supreme Court, the Criminal Court A, Criminal Court C, all of those courts, were we to have an anti-corruption court, as Mr. Cummings is proffering, we are going to be able to see the expeditiousness, the fast tracking, the swift and speedy court hearing processes, swift investigations into corrupt matters and allegations levied against current and past members and employers and high-ranking officials of government. So Mr. Cummings, as an opposition political leader, in my view, is offering a very unique, fellow Liberians, idea that this administration can see to it to grab. Yes, the reason why this administration should grasp such an idea is because look at the cases. Look at the cases that are on the docket of the Supreme Court or the Criminal Court A, Criminal Court B, and you can name the rest of the courts across our country that are responsible for matters of corruption. So if you have a singular anti-corruption court that is squarely against corrupt acts, matters that are in serious contradiction and in contrast to good governance and responsibleness in the seat of a public office, that particular court, in my view, and I want to support Mr. Cummings' idea, that court will be able to ensure, as I said, to fast track corrupt matters across our country. So it is very important. It is very important that government should see the need, mobilize resources, get the needed funds so that those corrupt cases can be fastly, swiftly, and expeditiously, adjudicated in a competent court of jurisdiction. Because individuals that have been accused of corrupt acts against the country, those of the people that may have, fellow Liberians, siphoned the public funds, right? That may have absconded monies that are meant for public utilization, for the collective benefit of the Liberian people. When those funds are selfishly utilized, when those funds are not publicly utilized in the interest of the Liberian people, then we believe that it should precipitate a court such as the Anti-Corruption Court. Like we do have the Anti-Corruption Commission in this country, we can also see to it that we institutionalize an anti-corruption court. That is a brilliant idea from Mr. Cummings as the political leader of the Alternative National Congress. Yes, it is particularly brilliant, fellow Liberians. No one can contest that idea. How many of our lawmakers, how many of our ministers, and even some members of the opposition, how many of them are speaking against corruption by suggesting, recommending to national government that it is important to have an anti-corruption court instituted? That when you do have an anti-corruption court instituted, it gives the corruption, it gives the nation an ample opportunity when it comes to the fight against corruption. Yes, It gives the nation that. Because cases will not be in its very big format, in from criminal code A, criminal code B, criminal code this one, that one, right? So you have a separate court. You have a separate court. And that particular court is going to ensure that, you go about carrying on a jurisdiction into those corrupt matters. Since this government came to power, President Borkai organized the War and Economic Crimes Court. Both war and economic crimes. But then we are not seeing anything. Nothing, fellow Liberians, in respect to this government ensuring that the War and Economic Crimes Court get into full swing to start to implement the TOR, the term of reference for which they have been or they will be institutionalized. Yes, we have not seen that. So it is important for us to listen, for us to heed to the recommendation made by the political leader of the Alternative National Congress, Mr. Alexander Benetti Cummings, so that the anti-corruption court can be institutionalized, instituted, passed into law, that those of the individuals that will cause mayhem against our country, that will siphon the nation's money, after a thorough investigation by the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission and as well as the General Auditing Commission, those of the anti-graft institutions that are responsible to tackle corrupt cases across our country, or individuals who may have been found in corrupt acts across our country, those of the people can now be forwarded to the anti-corruption court. We just believe that, one, it is going to expedite the process. You as a government and an administration, you are going to gain public trust because the court is singularly responsible for corrupt cases, to adjudicate corrupt cases. So they are going to do all they can. They are going to do all they can in their possible willpower to ensure that this particular court is being, fellow Liberians, institutionalized and in a competent and impartial court of jurisdiction. Cases of corruption can be heard. Yes, cases of corruption can be heard. So I want to support the idea of Mr. Cummings. I really do want to support his idea that it is important. It is important. The significance of us institutionalizing an anti-corruption court cannot be overemphasized. It cannot. It cannot. And so to speak, what corruption does to the fabric of the society is so detrimental enough such that it ravages the nation, and it makes the nation to recede or retrogress to a greater extent, a dramatic extent. And the people of such nation cannot have a benefit. They cannot feel the impact of those of the individuals that pretend, I should use the word pretend, to say they are leading them, because corruption steals the future of a nation. Corruption rips, for the sake of re-emphasis, fellow Liberians, a nation of its aspiration. Corruption, it makes homes to break, because the economic well-being of the people is dependent on the leadership of the nation, such that when the leadership of the nation is as corrupt, homes will break, because those homes do not have the economic wherewithal or the economic prowess or the economic strength. They don't, fellow Liberians. So corruption has a ripple effect. The ramifications of corruption, fellow Liberians, is so drastically negative. And we want to support Mr. Cummings's idea, because when the nation is corrupt, public institutions such as high schools, hospitals, universities may not be equipped. They may not be sophisticated, simply because the leaders in that particular society are corrupt. And when the leadership of that particular society is very much corrupt, it places the nation and its progress in a precarious state. So one should be able to amplify such an idea, the one which Mr. Cummings is proffering and advocating on, and also suggest to the government that Mr. Cummings's idea is significant. We all should join ranks, exert our effort to ensure that corruption is mitigated to a greater extent across our country. Look at our public institutions across our country. The reason for which our public institutions across our country remain in a dilapidated condition, or a substandard condition, or a condition that resembles antiquity or years ago, is because our leaders are corrupt. They are so very much corrupt. They are so very much corrupt to the extent that they do not care for you and myself. That is why the issue of us tackling corruption must begin with our national leaders, our state actors, state women and men, to speak against matters such as corruption, and amplify the idea of having an anti-corruption court, an idea which Mr. Cummings, the political leader of the Alternative National Congress, is preferring. Because I believe this is a man who is squarely against corruption. As a public and prominent figure in this country, Mr. Cummings, not a single day have you heard Mr. Cummings's name in the public on the basis of corruption or any frivolous act. No. You have not heard Mr. Cummings's name in anything such as that, which is corruption. No, not a single day that you can speak to. So we should be very genuine and magnanimous enough with ourselves that to speak against corruption is a nationalistic call. To proffer an idea to mitigate corruption is also not just a nationalistic call, but a patriotic one that needs the joining ranks and concerting of effort of every Liberian in this nation. Indeed. Yes. We should. So we should be able to speak to those matters. And we want to thank Mr. Cummings for that. We want to tell him thank you. You want to tell him thank you, right? We want to. So fellow Liberians, that's it. That's just it. Mr. Cummings went to West Point the last time, and he met with some of the disadvantaged young people in this country, in the West Point community, specifically at the West Point sports page. I do not know the name for which that sports page has, but I know they do play football there. And football is a sport, by the way. And when he met with those disadvantaged youth, he did not only go on the basis of taking picture or for the political optics. No, Mr. Cummings is now one person that goes to public places such as that one simply because he wants to show that he is engaging the Liberian people, not simply because of that reason, but more genuinely and importantly is because the cry of the young people in this country that have been abused by drugs, those of the people that are abusing drugs in this country, the young population specifically, they need leaders. They need leaders, right? That will speak to those matters, right? To speak to those matters and identify with them and give them a sense of belonging and to give them a sense of recognition that I do not have to be in government before I recognize that you people have been grappling with this issue of drugs and you people are struggling to a greater extent and you need someone of a humanitarian heart, someone who is compassionate enough. It is inherent in him or her compassionately. Compassion is such an attribute that he or she exhibits, such that he or she will go to the length of identifying with those of the young people that have been victimized by the usage of controlled drugs and substance in this country. So Mr. Cummings went to West Point. When he went to West Point, he made statements, promised the young people of that particular slum community of this nation and informed them that the impact of narcotics in their life and controlled substances in their life is detrimental, is negative. Its impact is devilish. Therefore, the government of the day needs to do what they can do. And he left from there immediately. And fellow Liberians, at the Destiny Recovery Center, he donated. Mr. Cummings donated assorted materials. He purchased mattress and other materials that are needed for the facility, and even gave a cash to the Destiny Recovery Center. So his argument that drugs in this country that the young people have been victimized by needs to be mitigated. He has said that on countless of occasions. But I see some level of disconnectedness between the government of the day and the young people that have been bedeviled or perhaps victimized by the issue of drugs in this country. I do see huge level of disconnectedness. When I say disconnectedness, what I do mean is that the government is not looking at those of the victimized young people in this country. They are not. We still have Zogos. We still have young women that have been victimized by drugs in this country, in the streets of Monrovia, and even in the leeward counties across our country. Yes, we do have people of such. We have people of such, fellow Liberians. And it is important enough that the government try to reduce, mitigate to a greater extent where to even fund drugs or marijuana or other controlled and illegal substances in this country will be a very Herculean task. Will be a very Herculean task for young people across Liberia. We have over 800,000 as per recent reports. 800,000 of our young people that have been victimized by drugs in this country. We have 800,000 of them. Yes. And the victimization of those young people is something that Mr. Cummings is concerned about. He is concerned about to the extent that he went to identify with those young people in the slum community of West Point. And someone, somewhere, wants us to believe that Mr. Cummings, who is pragmatic enough in his undertakings, doesn't mean well for Liberia. That is what a certain group of people want us to believe. This is a man who, fellow Liberians, have donated, contributed, participated in the progress of this nation to a greater extent. To a greater extent, as you say. Go to schools, public institutions across this country. Mr. Cummings' hand mark is there. Across all of the public, almost all of the public institutions across our country, Mr. Cummings' hand mark there. You go to hospitals, Mr. Cummings has contributed. Yes, in the health sector, in the education sector. During the COVID-19 crisis, Mr. Cummings contributed immensely to this government, to the previous government, pardon. During the course of the Ebola crisis, Mr. Cummings also, fellow Liberians, contributed immensely against the fight of Ebola. This man, fellow Liberians, has done tremendously well, such that it cannot be overemphasized. It cannot. And the reason why we continue to speak about Mr. Cummings without any form of apology, without any need to reduce our voices, is simply because we believe in his thoughts to drive change in this country. Yes. You may be from your political party. You may be from the CDC, the Unity Party, the Liberty Party, the ANC, any other political party in this country. But Mr. Cummings single-handedly has contributed. Even before Mr. Cummings got involved into politics in this country, Mr. Cummings did immensely well for the Liberian people. Yes, he has spoken a great deal about his governance agenda. Yes, what he intends to do, were he to be able to serve as president, to be elected by the Liberian people, to be given the opportunity to lead. He has said it on countless of occasions that he doesn't want to be president for the superficialities that the presidency is bequeathed by, or everything that embodies the presidency. No, that is not his agenda. Mr. Cummings has made those deliberations on countless of occasions, numerous of occasions. He has made those deliberations that his ambition is to be the president. And in being the president, as ambitious as he is, it simply means that in order to transform this country, the bargaining between him and the Liberian people is to give him the presidency to change this country with his conventional perspective. Yes, with his conventional perspectives. That is what he wants to do. That is what he intends to do. That is what he thinks the Liberian people need. And what do the Liberian people need specifically? One of the most specific reasons for which the Liberian people usually cry on government is on the basis of the government's inability to provide. The government's inability to provide job opportunities for its citizens. The government, even this current administration, has reneged on its responsibility to provide job opportunities for its people. Yes, it has reneged. So when the government reneges on its responsibility to provide job opportunities for its people, then the people tend to redirect their attention to alternative individuals who stand in the vanguard to provide direction. And Mr. Cummings is one of those individuals that is stationed readily to provide direction in terms of the provision of job opportunities in this country. And one can only do that. One can only do that when he or she is president. One can only do that when he or she is serving as president. You cannot do it in opposition. You cannot do it while seated at your house, because the presidency in this country is so imperialistic to the extent that were you to read the constitution of the country, you will understand that the presidency is the most important seat in the land, the highest seat in the land, that gives one the opportunity were he to be patriotic enough to drive change and foment conventional and contemporary progress. Yes, that's what the presidency gave. That's what the presidency of the nation gives to an individual that is serving as president. That is the reason why we believe, with his attributes, with that characterization of him, considering the levels at which he has served and the ideas for which he is proffering, Mr. Cummings is best suited to be president of this country. Yes, we'll see this without apology, without stupor, without any ounce of mincing our words or trying to reduce the volume of our voices. No. We are going to be unashamedly clear, very, very much crystal in respect to Mr. Cummings' agenda to serve as president of this country. Because all of the individuals that have served in high-ranking positions in government, for them to take on responsibility of the state, ranging from the presidency to the lowest position in government, those of the individuals to a greater extent have been able to disappoint the Liberian people. They have left the Liberian people in abject deprivation. Abject deprivation. Recent World Bank report Poverty in this country is on the increase. The World Bank report says that in the urban part of Liberia, look at the urban part of Liberia, it's just in Monrovia. Monrovia is the urban part of Liberia. Poverty is more than 30% in the urban part of Liberia. Is Monrovia, right? How many individuals we have in this country? Over 5 million individuals in this country, as per recent report. And Monrovia alone has over 1 million people. So the rest of the 4-point-something million individuals in this country that are in the leeward counties and the most remotest part of this nation are in abject poverty, because according to said report, over 80% of those individuals are in abject and increasing historical level of poverty. It is high time, fellow Liberians. The time is now. The time is now that we see to it to redirect our thoughts. We see to it to reintroduce, to engineer a change. And through engineering a change such as that, Mr. Cummings, Mr. Alexander Benedict Cummings, fellow Liberians, should be given the opportunity to lead. He should be given the opportunity to lead. That is our belief. That is what we think. That is how we feel. And you cannot divorce yourself from the reality that this nation is lacking behind. This nation of our country needs a revival. And when I say needs a revival, it is not for us to go and pray. No. To revive this nation, to transform this nation to an enviable state where individual countries surrounding us, those neighboring countries surrounding Liberia, the likes of Sierra Leone, Guinea, Cote d'Ivoire, and even in the sub-region, Ghana, Nigeria, Senegal, Benin, Togo, and you can name the rest of them, can say that Liberia is prepared and ready for tremendous progress. Unprecedented historical level of progress is ongoing under the presidency of Alexander Benedict Cummings. Other than that, fellow Liberians, we remain in a vicious circle. And that particular vicious circle is detrimental. It places us in a peril state. We are suffering. There is no job opportunities. Our schools in this country, public institutions, are very, very much dilapidated, substandard. You look across the public high schools and public educational facilities in this country, those institutions, they are housing unqualified individuals. If you go to public health care facilities across our country, unqualified nurses and doctors. People in this country are dying from the commonest of sickness, such as malaria. People still die from malaria in Liberia because we do not have the public institutions that are equipped enough, that are readily equipped to tackle common sickness such as mosquito bite, malaria. And individuals want us to believe that with the ideas, recently, Mr. Cummings went to Kenya. Was it Kenya? Yes, I think Kenya or Rwanda, one of those nations. He sat with investors. Right? And those investors that he sat with, they were discussing pitching Africa as a continent. That is what they were talking about. Pitching this nation, pitching like not the nation but the continent, pitching the continent. Mr. Cummings was in that gathering. Almost 1,000 or two of those individuals, investors. I'm not talking about individuals that do not have the capital strength, the professional or competence and eloquence, and the track record of investment. No, those of the individuals at that particular conference were individuals that had the pedigree that every investors embody. And Mr. Cummings was there. Imagine when Mr. Cummings to be the president of this country. Just imagine for a moment. Just imagine for a moment what will be going on in Liberia. Because investment is not only about the people who went to school. When someone comes to invest in this country or any part of the world, they do not only look for people who have all of the degrees. No, even unskilled individuals can have job opportunities and they can put food on their tables. That is Mr. Cummings' idea. He is saying Liberia as a nation, we do not deserve to beg. We do not deserve to beg as a nation people because we have the resources. We have the capital. Yes, we do have the capital. He has stressed against wasteful spending in governmental space. That capital can be redirected. We have the manpower. There are so many Liberians willing to work. Do we have the land? Yes, we do have the land. We do have the land. Right? So, fellow Liberians, the time is now. The time is now to join Mr. Cummings. That is what I believe. You may hate me, yes, but that is my own political perspective. You may not like my idea, but this is a man who has proven to be very, very much consistent with all of his arguments. I've not a day seen Mr. Cummings deviated from all of the arguments regarding how this country can progress. I've not seen him a day deviated. I've not. Never seen Mr. Cummings a day deviated. And that is someone who, we should be looking up to. We should be looking up to him. Yes, we should. So if you are just joining us, this is the National Conversation on Kia 95.9 FM. We do regularly discuss critical national issues on this platform, and there are lots of national issues to be discussed from now up until 9 o'clock. At 8:30, we are going to open the line so that you can participate on the conversation this evening on the National Conversation on Clear 95.9 FM. I'm your host, Isaac S. George, and I'm delighted to be seated this evening with you as we have this very important, vibrant, significant, and nationalistic conversation surrounding the progress of our country, the state for which it is in, and how we can move forward as a nation people, redirecting the course of this nation so that Liberia can get on path with other countries across the continent, in our region, and by extension, the globe. So, to rescue the people, to rescue the people is not just to say the word rescue. Let us move to our second talking point. To rescue the people is not just to say rescue, because any word can be professed as long as the person for whom it is spoken by knows that particular word. It can be professed. That is, it can be said, it can be argued. But words, when they are not matched with action, it calls for questioning. It becomes alarming, and it thus make the individuals for whom those words are to affect through the implication of it. If it is not effectuating their lives, then they tend to ask, are they or are we rescued? Such as the word rescue. This government, this administration came to the Liberian people during the heat of the 2023 presidential or general elections and said to the Liberian people that they need to be rescued. They need to be rescued. To rescue someone, it means the person is in a situation that they are overwhelmed by the effect or the negative impact of such a situation, such that they are in a dire need, not just to be rescued, but a swift, fast, speedy, and expeditious process of being rescued. And they campaigned to the Liberian people, and the Liberian people understood exactly the campaign for which this administration was parading with around the political climate of this country in 2023. Fast forward, the Liberian people exerted in a painstaking fashion a huge level of effort, concertedly, in the overwhelming majority, and said, we are going to give the nation to Joseph Newman Buckeye, His Excellency, to drive change in this country, to rescue us because we do not have job opportunities, to rescue us because the health facilities across our country are substandard, dilapidated, and health workers are not well taken care of by major actors of the state and public institutions that are specifically and statutorily meant to provide public service to the nation are not providing public service to the nation the way they ought to provide those services, and the economy of the country, considering the words spoken by one of the senators at the time, currently as now, Senator Darius DeLon, that the economy was in the septic tank. The economy should be rescued from the septic tank or the gutter so that the Liberian people can have an opportunity, so that the Liberian people can shake hands with economic paradise, so the Liberian people can have an experience of what good governance is, so that the Liberian people can have an understanding of what contemporary government is supposed to do in their collective interest. But the biggest question, the most primal, significant question that remains, fellow Liberians, is that are we rescued? 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 We are still grappling with economic hardship. are we rescued that the 150 for which a civil servant of this country takes home at the end of the month cannot commensurate with the purchasing power he has? The 150 is below the supposed purchasing power of this particular civil servant. Are we rescued when the government of the day tells us that inflation has decreased, the rate has decreased, but the commodities on the market remains at the same price that they were previously stole or sold? Because we believe that when inflation decreases, commodities on the market should be sold in cooperation with the decrease of inflation. Yes, because whenever things prices go high, it means inflation has increased. When inflation decreases, it means prices on the market should be reduced. So if and only if we as Liberians are rescued, then the question is our economic condition. How does it look like? Because when you are talking about economic growth and economic development, as part of economic growth, inflation, reduction in inflation is a major economic growth. This government of today has boasted a great deal about economic growth in terms of the reduction in inflation. But how is it impactful? How is it impactful on the common man? How is it? What can the civil servant say when he pays school fees for his children, when he pays electricity bill, when he pays rentage, when he transports himself to go to school, when he gives food money at his home? Can 150 sustain a civil servant in this economy when prices continue to increase? Can 150? Can 150, fellow Liberians? Can 150? So we have to rethink our decisions. We have to rethink our decisions as Liberians. That is why, 2017, when Mr. Cummings initially talked about him coming to the presidency, vying for the presidency, wanted to be president, it was one thing he said for which people felt that it was unrealistic, it was not genuine, and in fact, he was over-exaggerating simply because, excuse me one minute. Yes, simply because he was a newbie. He was a newbie within the political space of our country, so people did not give him the listening ear, right? But then Mr. Cummings have now been exonerated. He has been vindicated. The reason why he has been vindicated is one, while in 2017 he said the budget of this nation can be increased to $1 billion. Fellow Liberians, there were not many Liberians at the time, about 9 years ago. There were not many Liberians that believed what Mr. Cummings said. They did not believe so. They said his statement was unrealistic. Fast forward to 2026. Today we boast of having a budget that is $1.2 billion. Mr. Cummings is now saying to you and myself that civil servants in this country do not deserve to make 150 USD. They deserve to make at least 300 USD. Yes, he is also saying that. Civil servants. So you should understand that this man is someone who knows how an economy runs. And he is not going to run the economy by remaining in the opposition community. No. You as Liberians that are listening to me tonight should see it prudent enough that Liberia remains our common denominator, such that we should galvanize our efforts to support an individual that is holistic in his thinking, his analysis, and his political point of view, his economical political point of view. Yes, that is the kind of person you and myself should be able to amplify his or her argument. And as I said, we all know an apology to tell you about Mr. Cummings, because you can name all the Baba things in the country. You can call all the Baba people name, say all the Baba things, but trust me, you will never be able to mention Mr. Cummings, even to where he has worked. With his years of private sector experience, not a single day did you hear that Mr. Cummings did this, has done this, or orchestrated, participated, aided, and abetted certain syndicate that was very, very much uniquely negative. Right? No, he has not. He has not been that kind of person. So, fellow Liberians, if you are listening to me, my name is Isaac S. George, your host on Kia Radio 95.9. This evening, we are discussing critical, major national issues across our country on this platform, on the National Discourse this evening. And I'm so excited to having every one of you listening to me as we drive toward 9 o'clock on the dot this evening. My time says it is 8 after 8 in the city of Monrovia, and at 8:30 we are going to open the lines so that you can participate, so that you can have your say on all of the points that have been laid out. So recently, the University of Liberia, the state-run university, have been battling, or have been, a scene of dramatic happenings, as you use that phrase. The University of Liberia, in my view, has been a scene of dramatic occurrences. And those occurrences have been: 1, political occurrences; 2, professional occurrences; 3, violent occurrences. And I'd like to speak to that in a few minutes. And I want to call on the president of this country, President Joseph Newman Boakai. Mr. President, the University of Liberia is the biggest, higher learning institution of our nation. And it remains the only institution of higher learning that underprivileged Liberians, young and old, can go to seek tertiary education. And in their pursuit of tertiary education, their agenda to aspire to become degree holders, should not be distorted for someone's political goal. No. Mr. President, I want to re-emphasize. The University of Liberia should be the safe haven for underprivileged Liberians, young or old, right? To go to and seek or pursue tertiary education. And the pursuit of tertiary education should not be distorted, should not be stopped. A roadblock should not be erected simply because of someone else's political goal to be scored. No. Our institution of public learning should not be treated in such a draconian manner. We are not going to accept that. It is going to be something that the students of the University of Liberia abhor, detest, and kick against, simply because the matter of education is significant and it should not be consistently disrupted. It should not be consistently disrupted. Mr. President, in recent times, you held a conversation with high-level administrators at the University of Liberia. According to the Executive Mansion report, all matters were being handled. Unfortunately, as per it was being told to the public, the school or the university would have been open by the 25th of this month. Today, students are not going to school or are not attending classes. The issue is yet to be resolved. The issue is yet to be resolved. Mr. President, it is important. Education is very much significant. It is significant such that a nation doesn't move forward without having its citizens educated. Most especially in times such as this one. So, Mr. President, you have to ensure that the opening of the University of Liberia is very, very much fast. You have to do that. And the condition of the university must be changed. Recently, the president, Dr. Mampayan, said that she has had painted the university in carrying on rehabilitation exercise. Unfortunately, I believe that exercise has not been able to affect the entirety of the university. Because if you went to Fender campus, you are going to understand the nature of the happenings there, or exactly what I'm stating here this evening. Even on main campus, the Capitol Hill campus of the University of Liberia, were you to go there, and if you went there, you will understand exactly, as I said, what I'm trying to say. And the faculty at the University of Liberia, they are calling on you, Mr. President, salary disparity. There are individuals that are earning specific salaries for which they are not qualified for, and to a more disgusting degree are not competent enough to earn. So you have to, I think, recall another meeting to reconcile the salary disparity issue, Mr. President. Yes, you have to do that. And also see to it that the students go back to the classroom to learn. and that the instructors are willing to teach and provide instructional services to the students who are attending the University of Liberia. We believe that it is important to do so. Nothing is as important as education. Nothing. So, Mr. President, we are calling on you. Fellow Liberians, if you just joined me this evening, my name is Isaac S. George, and I'm excited, to be in your company this evening to have a conversation surrounding major national issues. We've been discussing the institutionalization of the anti-corruption court. We've been telling you about Mr. Alexander Bennett Cummings with his track record, every other things he has done within the state. We've been talking about the UL situation, the way the University of Liberia is being conditioned currently under this administration, and other national issues. But let's move to something very important. The macroeconomic trend of this country is vital. Initially, I spoke about inflation, but this government promised the provision of jobs. Yes, this administration did so. And when you promise, as per the Liberian people own statement, promise is a debt. When you promise someone in Liberian parlance, you owe that person. Promise is a debt. I don't know whether it is being said in other cultures across the world, but in Liberia, I know that when you tell someone, I will do this, that person hold fast to your statement, believe it, and expects that you will deliver on the promise you made, and that particular promise will be delivered in the time frame for which you committed them. Right? This administration promised job opportunities for Liberians. The reason why I'm making this statement is because unemployment, fellow Liberians, is a menace. It is not something that you found value in. It is not virtuous enough. Unemployment is not virtuous. For us Liberians, those of us that do not have job opportunities, we see unemployment as a sin. It is being seen as something that is a sin. Yes, it is. So, when Liberians were promised employment opportunities, and this government of President Joseph Wilmot Boakai has refused to provide job opportunities for the people of this country, the citizens of this nation, by attracting foreign direct investments. Then we tell the president that Mr. President, you are not living up to your promise made. Yes. We remind the president that, Mr. President, the promise made to the Liberian people is not being lived up to. And as such, one do not want to believe that you will ever live up to your promise. One do not want to believe so. One do not want to believe so. So, unemployment, the government, even the vice president alluded to that reality once when he went to the National Port Authority of Liberia. They had an event there and he was called upon to speak. And at that particular gathering, he made that statement that unemployment is an issue that this government has failed on. And like the Liberian people deserve the truth. Nothing is. Right? So we should all understand that this government of the day has not been able to employ a single Liberian. It is the same cycle of employment. When I say the same cycle of employment, you relieve certain people of their position, bring new people in, and so forth. But we are looking at the long-term nature where this government is going to attract investments to come to Liberia to explore the agricultural sector, the mining sector, the timber sector, the rubber sector, and all of the major sectors across our country, so that directly Liberians can benefit. Because when investors come, they are not going for foreigners. No. Liberians directly are going to have job opportunities. So this government has not been able to do that. This government is yet to do that. This government has reneged on its responsibility to place itself in a position of prospect when it comes to employment opportunities. Liberians continue to cry. They continue to yearn for employment opportunities. Right? So we must be honest with ourselves. We must be honest with ourselves. We must call the president on in regards to these issues, and we must call a spade a spade. We must call a spade a spade. We must. We must call a spade, fellow Liberians. So, inasmuch as the president and his administration have refused to employ Liberians, then we ask, Mr. President, why are you not living up to the promise that you made to we the Liberian people? The last time the president addressed the nation, he said 800,000 Liberians have been employed. And there was no indication as to where those Liberians were employed. No indication. There is no record, no data. The president just called manufactured numbers because they ill-advised the president. And the president listened to such an ill-advised from members of his advisory board and those of the people in his cabinet that 800,000 Liberians have been employed, or 80,000, pardon, of Liberians have been employed. And other people that are apologists of this administration were given an opportunity to sit on national platform to provide authentic data as to the record showing the individuals that have been employed under this government, yet they provided fictitious data, those fake numbers, and it was contested. And you saw the Ministry of Labor also trying to make some correction as it relates to the announcement through the address made by the president of the state. The reason why we continue to stress on the significance of importance, the significance of employment in this country is because we do believe that for a nation to move forward, for a nation to make massive progress, its citizens need to participate in national development. How can the citizens participate in national development when their economic condition is not good? How? How do you expect the citizens to participate in national development when poverty is the bed they sleep on? When hunger is the water they wash their faces with? When destitution is the clothes they wear? How do you expect them to participate in national development? Mr. President, Mr. President, it is high time that you ensure that you and your economic team provide an opportunity for the Liberian people to have access to jobs. This is the biggest matter, to have access to jobs. The Liberian people should have access to jobs. This government has failed in that regard. This government has failed in that regard. And we should call a spade a spade. We should. So, fellow Liberians, you are listening to Kia 95.9 FM. My name is Isaac S. George, your host on the National Discourse this evening. We will soon open the line. We will have your calls being taken here on the platform this evening in the next few minutes to come. We've been talking a lot about major national happenings across our country. We've been able to speak in regards to Mr. Cummings' own recommendation for the institutionalization of an anti-corruption court. We've been talking about macroeconomic strength, the purchasing power of the Liberian people. We believe that it is not strengthened enough. It is not strong to a greater extent, such that even a civil servant that is taking home 150 at the course of the end of the month cannot, utilize that particular amount of money in the way, the fashion, the manner in which he is to utilize, even if he, put in place all of the financially responsible modalities to ensure that it takes him through the 31 days of each month, or those months that have 31 days. He just can't make that. And we've been able to stretch our tentacles to the University of Liberia. We talked a great deal about the condition of the University of Liberia. Call on the president to recall those high-ranking administrators there at the University of Liberia, so that they can resolve their matter amicably, so that students can go back to school. Education is very vital for us, and the young people that are going to school in this country see the University of Liberia, if for any reason they are downtrodden economically, as a safe home. The University of Liberia as a safe home, and it is important school resume or open very quickly, so that those students at the University of Liberia can go to school. And we've been able to speak to the president's inability to provide job opportunities for Liberians in this country, fellow Liberians. The issue of job opportunities is very vital, to the extent that whenever we have the time and the opportunity to have a say on a public platform such as this one, we are going to, have our own say and participate in that particular conversation, because we believe that Liberian people do not deserve to suffer. They deserve, to have an opportunity where they can feed their homes. And we've been able to amplify, the issue of the dilapidated conditions for which public institutions across the country are in. The government of the day should be able to work out modality to, amplify their agenda when it comes to, subsidizing public institutions, and also in assisting them so that they can augment to a sophisticated position, so that those public institutions can be able to provide the the public service pattern, the public service to the public. So if you are just joining us, as I said, my name is Isaac S. George, and we are discussing major national issues in this country, and this is the National Discourse, a platform that renders you the opportunity to have your say and participate as well on critical national issues. So the numbers to call are 0777959 08811 088187170 0777959 088187170. The numbers to call and dial this evening, so that you can have your say on the National Discourse this evening on Kia 95.9 FM. I'm Isaac S. George in your company this evening. And please dial 0777959 088187170. The numbers to dial this evening to participate on the platform. Please dial 0777959 088187170. The numbers to call this evening to participate on the platform: 0777959 088187170. The numbers to dial this evening on Kia 95.9 on the National Discourse. We've been discussing critical national issues, and we've been able to at least have our own say in trying to analyze the issues across our country. So if you've been listening to us and you want to participate, please dial 0777959 088187170. The numbers to dial this evening to participate. So since we are yet to take our peak calls, I want to continue on this footing. The issues in this country are so much and so many that people tend to play politics with everything. The drugs saga in this country is something that we should be able to speak to. We should be able to speak against, speak about, and have our own say. Because drugs is a national menace. It is a national devil that has hampered every one of us in this country. And to speak against drugs, you do not need to be from a specific political institution, a specific religious background, or a specific tribal background. To speak to the issue of drugs in this country, you need to be a Liberian. You need to be a Liberian that believes in the progress of this country in protecting the sanctity of this country. Right? So, in order for us to tackle the issue of drugs, we should first and foremost remove our political or garments. We should. We should pluck out the political eyes we see with and ensure that we use the nationalistic, patriotic eyes that we supposed to see with when it comes to national issues such as the issue of drugs. Yes. But if you are listening to us, please dial 0777 0881871670. These are the numbers to call us on Kia 95.9 FM. This is the National Discourse. We like to say thank you so very kindly for following this evening and for joining us on the platform 0881871670. The numbers to call us this evening on Kia 95.9 FM as we discuss critical national issues. So, I was talking about the issue of drugs in this country, and as I said, to mitigate drugs, to have a national agenda, to have a collective reasoning when it comes to us mitigating drugs in this country, it means that we should try to disavow ourselves from political institutions, yes, tribal backgrounds, religious backgrounds, and look at Liberia as the commonest of detector or denominator, right? The commonest of denominator. The commonest of denominator. That I think we have a call. Good evening, Animes, and where are you calling us from? I'm trying. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, this is Banning Cat. One day they'll be asking follow up the band.
Okay, my brother. Please go ahead.
Yeah. And it's just, yeah, I like the way how you put in the topic. I like the way you but just be frank here.
Mm-hmm.
We don't support the political and job in this country.
Of course.
Yeah, we need to come as a one brother for us to fight this job.
Mm-hmm.
But if only you see the video that we get when they own, we want to protect him.
Mm-hmm.
When another person owns, we will bash that person, sue that person, judge that person. In fact, you will see the police people that say that war that entered in the country, they will be threatening other people, but when they are like, they say, oh, we now read a famous fact here for the case. Looking at the case, you don't do that in the country. When you do that, that was a division. You bring a division in the country. So how the people talk, how the people come together and fight this particular
Mm-hmm.
how they were fighting? Because when they looking at you, you are protecting your own. You don't want for them to be you. You don't want you don't want for them to take you justice. For other people, you are running with them. You are judging them. Then they say that the one government will not exactly that. So the way the government running this drug issue, they're not really going down well with it. That's when people
Mm-hmm.
you protect your own, then you put other people at risk. No, you don't do that. The same way you kill the other people that they do it. How about all the people that are with me up to now? None of them None of them have been arrested. None of them have been prosecuted. But look at the former vice president, the ways in which the people they handle that woman. That how their life supposed to be looking at. Seriously. That you have started the woman restitution around the world. That made that woman today. You see? So, the way in which they came out to court, yeah, it's time for them to go to court. Wishing well for her to go and take the justice, and by the grace of God, she will be dedicated for the justice. That's all we wish for. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Thank you for joining us this evening, my brother. 077795959 08818711670 the numbers to dial this evening to participate on the platform. We've been talking about host of national issues. We, like I said, to remind you, we talked about the UL situation. We talked about the economic condition for which we, the Liberian people, are currently experiencing. And we talked about Mr. Cummings's own idea to, put forth. Let's take this call. Good evening, your name is, and where are you joining us from?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, my brother. What is your name and where are you joining us from? Yes, Mr. Sese, thank you for joining us this evening.
All right. So, the thing about this judge fight, if you really look at it, terrorists almost then these people, they tell all that they are going to fight a judge with transparency, but it is not what for wrong. In a sense, because since this justice started, we have heard news about hurricane of the government. Official, the EV security was running and being asked a war. But yet still, we have not seen them treating it as compared to other people. So you see, if you want to be lots of people, you can be doing church where it's selective like that. Every division in the country. And the good thing is that sometimes there's some things on your brain. You should always remember that. You see you sow sometimes it will look after you. You empower today, tomorrow you will not be. So why you expect other people to handle you? You see, we can continue this in the country. The kind of hatred politics just bring division to us. It is totally wrong.
Okay. Thank you for joining us. Let us take this next person. Good evening, my brother. Your name is and where are you joining us from?
And good evening to all the listeners. My name is Mohammed
Okay.
And member of the Council against Justice. Well, Josh, I want to appreciate you this way, that you letting the people and advocate for succumbing to the president of this country. But I don't want to believe in a lot of. Well, Josh, really, to be frank, these people 2023, election, the new party came out and said, the city governor of the new justice in this country. But, the wrong campaign against this started. But when it came to power, the settlements that was shitty around here, but God can sleep, and then, this justice business came out.
Mohammed, what are the shitty deeds that you have seen the government got involved with?
Yeah, because we have information that they just cartel the exported and not the drug for the 19 million drugs. So there are shitty deeds that this government care of. The information said the drug was exported from the country before the 19 million.
Okay.
But when this case came down, those that were involved was party things, For these people in the Liberian process asking that question, but why not? You can't tell that the CDC government of the region, but you can't arrest just for no the official CDC mentioned. Well, the hardest guy that won the Scotty job, this team.
Okay. So you are saying that it was an orchestrated plot against Joel Howard Taylor.
Exactly. That's why the email is the Snow email on OKFM. Snow said that he went to visit the VP at the Senate prison. And Woman said that she doesn't mind. She was better, but she's not guilty of this act that alleged by this government. She's not guilty. And then Susan narrated thing that she and the woman discussed today. But this government really to be friends. Looking to rescue the Liberian people. This is not rescues. We do the Liberian people work. Another way let you, but the way they are proceeding is very wrong.
Oh, okay. Thank you so very much, Mohammed Donso, for joining us, my brother. 07779599959 08818716770. We've been discussing critical national issues here this evening on Kia 95.9, fellow Liberians. My name is Isaac S. George. I am your host, and I like to say thank you for joining us on this platform, on this conversation this evening, as we all, I look towards tomorrow. But then we've been discussing about so many things, so many talking points here this evening. We've talked a great deal about Mr. Alexander Benedict Cummings. We've been able to speak about his own, idea that he has proffered to the nation in regards to the establishment of the anti-corruption court. We've been able to talk about the macroeconomic strength in this country. We believe that the economy, according to the government, inflation has reduced, but prices remains high on the market. And we've been able to talk about the University of Liberia saga. The University of Liberia as a public institution has been in a very negative condition, a one that is condemnable simply because individuals want to seek political showmanship. And we just commenced on the issue of this drug saga. I hope that we can have another time next week wherein we are going to be able to share our perspective on all of those issues surrounding the drug saga. But let us commence this. We'll complete it next week, right? So we have at least, let me look at my time. We have at least 12 minutes to go. Fellow Liberians, as I was saying, we should be able to take out the political garment that we wear in order of this, in order to engage this entire drug saga. And one thing I want to believe is that, the first time we listened to the news and it was being stated that there is 317 million drug bust in this country, Mr. Cummings was one of those politicians that went to the press and addressed the Liberian people through the press. And he said the investigation is slow and sloppy. The investigation of this drug matter is slow and sloppy. If you've just joined us, we've been talking about so many critical national issues, but please dial 077959959 08818716770. The numbers to call us this evening if you've been following us on the National Discourse on Kia 95.9 FM is a platform that renders you the opportunity to have your own say when it comes to these national issues that are, usually and consistently discussed, and the issues that are happening across our country. So as I was saying, Mr. Cummings said the investigation is slow and sloppy. The investigation being slow and sloppy, it means that the form and manner in which the joint security, the government, is carrying on the investigation is a resemblance of a group of people that have a responsibility to do certain work, but they're doing the work just to say they're forcing them to do the work. Yes, that is how they are behaving. I have so many things to say about this entire issue of drugs in this country, and then we do not have the luxury of time. But I hope next week I'll be here and we'll discuss the issues concerning this particular drug saga. And we are going to unearth certain things that have been happening with the ongoing investigation. But I'm just cautioning every one of you, every one of us, that the tackling of drug is not for a single political party. It's not for a single tribe or a single religion. It calls for the participation of every well-meaning Liberian. That is what it calls for. Every well-meaning Liberian to ensure that they participate in the fight against drug in this country, because it steals the future of the young people. It does. That is why we must be able to take off our CDC t-shirts, our Unity Party caps, our Liberty Party dresses and gowns, our ANC caps, and every political institution that we are connected to. We must be able to take those associations off and look at Liberia as the common denominator. We have at least 8 minutes to go. If you've been listening to us, this is the National Discourse on Kia 95.9 FM. So please dial 0777 959 959 0881 871670. These are the numbers to dial to have your say on the platform this evening on Kia 95.9 FM on the National Discourse. 0777 959 959 0881 871670. The numbers to call us this evening to have your say on the National Discourse. So, fellow Liberians, as I was saying, you have got to understand. Let us get this person on the line. Oh, we lost that caller. You can please redial 0777 959 959 0881 871670. The numbers to dial this evening to participate on the platform. Let me for you reread the numbers to call: 0777 959 959 0881 871670. We have at least 5 to 6 minutes to leave this studio this evening, this midweek, Wednesday, wet evening. I'm told that the weather out there has changed its facial expression and it is time for us to leave. But by the way, as I was saying, so we should be able to take off our garments and look at Liberia and say void of our political affiliation, whether we coming from the Basso tribe or the Mandingo tribe, or a Muslim or a Christian. No, we should look at Liberia. Liberia is the bigger picture. Liberia is the bigger picture. And for Liberia to be the bigger picture, it means that you do not defend a certain politician when he or she is directly involved with the peddling of controlled and illegal substance in our country. I'm not trying to indict anybody, but then it is important for us to look at it from a holistic standpoint. So when Mr. Cummings said that the investigation was slow and sloppy, I tend to agree. And next week, I will sit on this same platform and tell you why I agreed with Mr. Cummings' statement, for which he said the investigation was slow and sloppy. But let me caution every one of us Liberians that we should not. Let us get this call in. Zero triples. Good evening, your name is and where are you calling us from? Yeah, Vanny. Please go ahead. Let us hear you.
When you see on one of our columns, this government started to be limiting this country. Is that we come up with one thing that will control go back to the training that we did not. The fact that there's not issue that is already in the country. So that the government want to investigate the country too. Yeah, but they are doing the parliament.
Okay.
Because we hear about the acquisition of the key people. Where have the statement is that what have been the answer of the resolution? Yeah, you know, who produces that, but what have been done other people government? That is already and putting all that thing.
Okay. Okay.
We just talking. That's what happened.
Okay, let us take our next caller. Good evening, man. CC, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, my brother. We love that.
Yeah, we are around, man.
Mm-hmm. So, my son, I want to ask my little question. Where is Biago?
Where is Biago?
Where is Biago? That's a question that I think I ever planned when they talking me. Where is Biago in this investigation? Where is Johnny Bolati? Where is he? Where is he? The people put for the walk, put for the day. Send that time, and up to that time, we need to do for 4 years now. Let us get the power. Let's talk and get everybody to give government now, my brother. Did I even government no more? If I was official government, did I even go to the national, which is the IG, and that's for that official. It's the government. Bring this person.
Okay.
What's going on? In that audience, in this forum, the general said, Dr. Brown.
Yes. Yes. The police IG says so. So, man, CC, concluding 30 seconds. We have other calls, please. Where is Biago? Okay. Okay. Thank you, man, CC. 0777. We have 1 minute to go, please. I think we can take one more call. Okay, let us take this call. Good evening. Your name is and where are you joining us from? Hello? What is your name? Okay, Ishmael, please. I do that in 1 minute. I make your point in 1 minute. You're the last caller.
Thank you very much. For me, I'm looking at what this place is doing is very, very bad. Our country to come in 5 or 6 years now. The reason is people will come to power to pay them. The reason they don't want some issue. There are many names that people fall in a mess. Even the police and so on. There are staff government officials that are heading to this drug clinic. The president of the president of the house today. You are expelled from his job, but today he is parade.
Okay. Please conclude in 30 seconds, my brother. We do not have time. It's already 9.
Mm-hmm. So, all these things, what these people are doing to other people, they are doing these things because they feel that there are certain people in position and they part of their creed, they are part of their politicians, so they are persecuting other people.
Okay, thank you, Mohammed. Thank you so very much, Mohammed. Thank you for joining us. So, fellow Liberians, that's all the time we have in studio this evening. My name is Isaac S. George on the National Discourse as usual, and I like to say thank you to all of the callers that did participate on our platform this evening. Until then, see you next week yet another fascinating conversation that borders on national progress. Until then, I see you next week. Thank you for participating. Bye-bye. Oh, my word.
LIB, stand up. Take me back to Liberia, where the drums still play my song. Take me back to my homeland. It's the place where I belong.
LIB Future TV, giving voice to progressive Liberians, speaking about politics, entertainment, and local news.